The last video discussing the flag book, we gave the first few steps. I taught you how to cut some rectangle or squares out, corn around them, add double-sided tape to the bottom of them, and also distress the edges. For this project, we need 21, 3 groups of 7. We then talked about how to make a spine using a 9-inch piece by 12-inch piece of cardstock and having 15 lines embossed along it. And you could do that with scored along it at 1/2-inch intervals. We folded them. We made sure they were nice and crisp. And we also put distressed ink around all the edges. I held them together with some bulldog clamps. Not necessary exactly, but it was helpful to keep it all together. We attached them to, let's see, 2 pieces of mat board that are 4 inches by 12. But first we took My Creative Spirit black construction tape and put it along the edges, at least 3 of the edges, 2 small and 1 long. We put the accordion spine onto those 4 by 12s, and that's where we begin today. Before I start putting the pages on, I'm just going to take a scrap piece of card. It's not very thick. It's literally from my scrap pile, and it happens to be 1.5 inches wide. I want to put this on the outside of my cover later, so I want to measure it before I begin. The covers are 4 inches, but I want 1/8 of an inch not to be covered here and 1/8 of an inch there. So let's make these 1/8 1/8 is 1/4. So let's make these 3 3/4 inch wide. I need 2. 1 for the front and 1 for the back. So we'll make these 3 3/4 long. I need 2 of them. Now I'm not going to add these until we do our covers, but I am going to do something to them for preparation. And what that is I'm going to make the ends firmer by adding some black construction tape. So they're 1.5 inches long. So tear 2 of these at least 1.5 inches. Well, actually we need 4 of them. Just think having this all ready for when we put our pages will make it easier. I'm then going to put these 4 pieces of tape half onto my cardstock that I just cut, which is 3 3/4 long by 1.5 wide. And I'm going to fold it over and cut off the excess. Guess I made them quite a bit bigger. So both edges of this little piece of cardstock is going to be covered with black construction tape. Now this isn't very thick, but what I'm doing is I'm making a channel for my ribbon to go through later, and I'll just lay these aside for now. I don't have to worry about anything showing. There's going to be decorated on design paper over this. But what I'm doing is making it so the design paper will not tear when we put a ribbon to attach this book or close this book. So that's all the prep I need is a piece of construction tape folded, first half on, half off, fold it over, and let's keep those for later. Now we're going to add our pages. I'm going to remove my bulldog clamps, and I'm going to start with either the top or the bottom, whichever you feel like doing. And on the outside of all these folds, I'm going to put these 3 3/4 inch pages. So I'm going to remove the cover of the double-sided tape. Maybe. Let's go back to a pokey tool here. Now I want it to be really firm. I'm going to put it down about 1/8 of an inch here. So I'm going to add a little bit of tacky to my edge. Tacky adhesive or tacky glue. I'm putting it right on top of my double-sided tape. So I will push these over a little. Go down about 1/8 of an inch. And I'm going to fold that first spine right on top of that. I'm going to burnish it. It's pretty thick because this is folded already. There we go. That is my first flag. So now I'm going to repeat it 7 times on top. I ended up having a little piece of glue go onto my black cover, so I'm just going to put the cover, I'll put the glue on over here. Now it's got, that didn't stick well. The double-sided tape will actually stick faster, but I want it stronger than double-sided tape, so as it dries it'll be better. So I'm going right in the ditch here. And I'll line it up with the first one. Because I'm using the tacky glue, I think I'll hold it for a second to make sure it adheres well. And so the glue is essentially just on that 1/2 inch piece. Okay, you know, I might put a weight on this while I get the next one ready. So I'm removing the cover to the double-sided tape, adding tacky glue, and attaching this to the next mountain fold. I think I'm adding too much tacky because I'm having trouble with it staying on. I think I've only done this book once before, and I wasn't in a hurry. I think I try to hurry sometimes when I'm on the videos. I almost wonder if this would be a good place for a bulldog clamp. As I add the other pages. Let's try that instead of a weight. So that's 3 of my 7. put a little less tacky so it will adhere well and give me movability, but it won't be as thick. Let's try that. Okay. 4 of the 7, this is 5. I'm just sort of scooting them together so the tops are even. Might need some baby wipes here for sticky fingers. Now this glue does dry clear, but I prefer not getting a lot of glue on it. So 2 more for this part. I think if I use score tape, which is a little bit stronger, I might not have to use the tacky glue, so you might pick your adhesive carefully. One more for this top row. When I made this the first time, I did not use bulldog clamps, so I'm just thinking that this is thick cardstock and that's a good way to hold it, at least for the first row. So back to number 7 here, removing the cover to my adhesive, adding a bit of tacky glue, and then putting this to the front of the last mountain fold. Now you could probably use a thinner paper than I used. I think this is like 110 grams of thickness. But because this photo album is probably going to be of my grandkids, it's going to get a lot of use. So I wanted the cardstock to be fairly strong. But you might get away with a medium grade like 80. Okay. I now have 7 pages on the top section on the front of every single mountain fold. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to put the next 7 on the bottom of the book, and again, it's going to be on the front of the mountain fold. So I'm removing the tape. Now I know it's tedious watching someone glue and tape and whatever, but I think it helps you get the idea of how to put this little book together. I'm sure you can come up with some easier methods also. Feel free. Then share them with us as we learn this together. So this is exactly like the first one, but on the bottom of the page. I think I'll still use the clamps, see if that helps hold it. Maybe a medium clamp would work better than these large ones. I'll have to try that for the next book. In the middle, it's sure not as easy. There we go. Okay, so that's one page, one flag. So it's exactly lining up. So I have one on the outside of the mountain fold, one at the bottom at the other side of the mountain fold. Number 2. And if you've got the idea of this, go ahead and zap forward till we get to the middle pages. And the only difference about the middle pages is I'll be adhering them to the back of the mountain fold. So this was our first one. And I do see a little leakage there. We just rub it off. It'll dry and we can take it off. So the bottoms will line up, but you'll see that there is a little bit of graduation as the pages open up. So don't worry about that, as long as the tops and the bottom line up. So I'm going to do this a little differently. I'm going to attach it right to the cover while I get the next one ready. Now you can change the number of flags, but an odd number works well. And you could even change the number of rows. You can do an even number if you want, maybe make them the same size or different sizes. It's all a little bit of preference. But we'll start with every single flag being the same on this one. Now I thought the cutting out was going to be the most tedious part, but I actually think applying the flags takes longer than I remember. Just touched it with my wet finger. There will be a photo over that, so it won't show. I think I might just grab some baby wipes for my fingers so I won't make any more marks on my black paper. Seems like this is holding better now, so I might go back to the white while I get my baby wipes there. So we've got 4 on. Taking off the cover of my double-sided tape, adding a small amount of glue right on top of the double-sided tape. And putting this on the next fold. There we go. Burnish it a bit. Let that glue adhere. Two more for this row. And then we'll do our middle row. Remember, the middle row is going in the other direction. So this is on the front of the mountain fold. The middle row will be on the back of the mountain fold. I think this is where you'll see the difference between a regular bone folder and a Teflon one, because this will not make any marks on the black card. Sometimes the harder plastic does. Okay, last one for this row. Now you can use other kinds of glue like art glitter glue or barely there glue or barely art glue. Anything that you like to use. I'm thinking a stronger glue with a thinner line might be good, so I might try that for when we do our workshop in January. Flip the page, not the spine. Okay, this is the back spine. Remember, this one has a piece of tape over it. Okay, I'm just going to close this for a minute. And I'm going to work on the center of this book after these have a moment to hold and dry. If I can open my book lamp enough. There we go. Okay, so we still have one more row that's going to go the opposite direction on the back of the mountain folds. Let's go back to these first 2 little pieces for the cover. Remember, I'm going to decorate this with designer paper, but I want to have ribbon. I cut a yard of ribbon. I'm going to find the center of that. And this is a 12-inch book. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the center. I need 1/8 of an inch of black showing. So I want to make sure I don't make any white lines over the 1/8 of an inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just double checking. Okay, so that's pretty much the center, and I want this adhered to the center. So I'm going to start by taking very skinny tape. And putting it on one side. is so skinny I can, the tape came off. Let's try again. So I've marked my center of my book. I'm going to take a little teeny bit of this on my edges. My ribbon was 1 yard, and I think it's about an inch thick, a little bit under, 7/8 maybe. You could use any kind of ribbon. This is just something I had in my stash. But I'm putting a little bit of adhesive to hold my gully together. And I'm going to take my ribbon and put it under it. Now you want the ribbon to be free moving, because when this accordion opens wide with 2 4-inch covers, it opens to about 15 inches. So I'm just going to gently lay this so the adhesive does not touch the ribbon, like so. Don't know if it's straight, but it won't be seen from the front. But what we want to make sure is that this isn't caught in any way. Now we want this to be strong. So my favorite thing for strength is this very thin My Creative Spirit black construction tape. What's nice about it is it does not show under the paper because it is so thin. I'm going to put a little bit less distance than the whole length because I don't want it to show at all. And I'm just putting this right on the top and smoothing it out. I'm going to repeat that for the other side. Even though it won't show, I'm taking time to cut the edges, make sure they're flat and straight. Every once in a while, I'll take care of all your little black things that get caught to your Teflon scissors. Okay, so now I have a movable gully, but remember we put black construction tape on the edge? That'll also make it so it doesn't tear easily. I'm going to flip over the back. I'm going to do the same thing again to the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my center is right about here. Take the thin tape. Again, you don't have to have this thin tape, but I think it holds it in place while you add the black tape. Well, I think this is only about 1/8 of an inch wide. Red tape, double-sided red tape would work too. You could go as high as 1 inch, but I want that ribbon to be very flexible. Now you do not have to have a covering, but there's going to be so many photos in this little album. A string to hold it closed when you're not using it would be nice. Now remember, I need 1/8 of an inch free. Oh, I need a ribbon over this. I need 1/8 of an inch free on the front and the back for my decorative paper. So I'm just going to place this 1/8 of an inch from the edge. And back to the construction tape. 2 pieces that will be a little shorter than the 3 3/4. I'm not measuring it, I'm just sort of eyeballing it. And after we put this tape on, now you can just skip this step altogether if you do not want something to hold your book shut. Or you could use, I think I have, what is it called? Elastic, black elastic to make a book binding. Or you can make a belly band. There's all sorts of ways you can keep this closed when not in use. But I want a ribbon. Maybe some of my samples I'll do another way. So this is movable. we'll have to put something on the end of our ribbon so it won't slide through. But when you're done with your album, you could then just tie a bow and it would be all set to go. Now, because it's thin and we have this channel, we will want to put some doodads of some sort on the end of our pretty ribbon. For now, I'll just leave it open. It's a whole yard long, so there's plenty of room. I'm going to take off my clamps, and let's go back to our middle row of our flag pages. Clean up a little bit here. It's funny, half the things end in the trash and half of the things end in the floor. So I'm going to open this up, and we're going to do the same exact thing. But remember, these were on the outside of the mountain. They were here. Whoop, this is backwards. These were on the outside of the mountain fold. And the next row will be on the inside of the mountain fold. And the first one is important because you want to center it. So let's just open the pages. You know, I've been using my little distress ink as a holder, but you could also use a book or something. I do have a little bit of adhesive showing there. When you're done, you can use an adhesive eraser and take off any adhesive that's showing. You could also just put a little bit of ink on there. That would cover it up. Okay, so last time it was on the outside of the mountain fold. This time it's on the inside, but same technique. Let's see, where's my pokey thing? So I'm removing the adhesive cover, adding a little bit of tacky glue or glue of your choice, spreading it thin. This will give us movability and really good contact afterwards. Now the first one is the most important because you want them centered. Let's see what the space is. You want them centered. They are, hard to see here. Put something white behind my ruler. Black paper isn't always easy to work with. Oh, this has a 0. That's good. Look at that. I'm on 2 there, 2.2 there. I'm going to mark my middle, I think. .2, 2.2. So there's my middle. Okay. You only have to take that care on the first one. And this is 3 3/4. So it's really about 1/8 of an inch from the top. Would be just right. No, it's bigger than that. About 1/4 of an inch almost. Now this shows me that we could have had these lower, but it will flip nice and easy with such a nice gap. Let's see how big the hole is. Well, I like it. It's almost a 1/4 inch there, but I'm going to leave it. Okay, now I'm going to flip one more page over and do my next page. So all of those were on the outside, and now we're going to put these on the inside. And this is easier because you have all these big pages, these big flags holding open your spine. So it's actually the only time you need a clamp or more patience and let it have time to dry is for your first row. So I'm going to line this up on the back of the mountain and touch the top and bottom of the first one to make sure it is straight. Burnish it a little. And flip another page over. Okay, third page. Take the cover off my adhesive, add some tacky glue. Now, this procedure that we did yesterday and today isn't very pretty yet. Just think our next step will be to add designer paper. That will be a lot of fun. So we'll let this dry well and then come back and put on some designer paper on the covers. You also can add designer paper. You don't have to put photos in this. You can do anything you want on these flags. You could put artwork. It could be artwork instead of black card. You could put artwork, or you can put memorabilia, anything you like. Cover my scissors in the trash. I'm doing it right to the score line, but not over the score line. And then making sure it lines up, top and bottom, with the one underneath it. Burnishing it to give it a chance to catch. Now, because this takes a while, this would have been one time where music behind this would make the video go faster. Attach it to the score line, right before the score line. Line up the top and bottom. Lost my wet wipe again. Burnish it. Flip the next mountain. Now I do see some dried ink here, and remember, we can cover it up with ink, or we can erase it with a adhesive eraser. Whoop. Now I chose to do all black. I think that highlights photos really well, but you could use any color card you wanted. And as far as the tape goes, you don't need black construction tape. It's just something I love working with. You could use washi tape even, because you're just reinforcing a seam. So you could do this as colorful or as plain like I'm doing as you want. I personally like my bases to be simple, but that will highlight the next. Okay, we have one more. this over. This is the very back. Now this one particularly you want to have glued well because it has black tape on it, and it's harder to tape to the tape than it is to tape to card. So after this dries well, just check to make sure this is secure. Going right up to the score line, burnishing it. Great. I'm going to fold it flat. And I'm going to lay this on it for the moment, but I think a heavier book would be nice. Now this needs to dry a bit, so I'll show you another book to show you what we've accomplished. So this one was my first trial, and I made it the same way, but I didn't use any bulldog clamps and I didn't use weights. I did it a little bit slower, but when you open it up, this is how the pages look. And I think that's the back, because I like my main pages fold to the right like a regular book. Now what's nice about this is when you first open the book, you can actually look at it like a book and fold them over. Or you can spread them out. It's sort of makes a star from the back. But that's what that will look like. Now, I did not put my ribbon on this yet. I might put even a different kind of ribbon. But this one is dry, and this one is ready for decoration. And this one is completely put together, but not ready for decoration yet. And looking around my desk to see what I have, and my vagabond is here. I think I'll put this nice, flat, thick weight on top of it, just to hold it while it dries. So every single flag will be dry. And that's going to be the end of today's lesson. What we'll do is add decorative sheets after, and after the decorative sheets, in my opinion, comes the best part, and that's the photos. So since this is a new project for me, and this is only my second one, I did struggle a little bit, but maybe my struggles will help you struggle less. Have a great day. God bless.